The term myth on Roblox became widespread around 2017 when popular YouTubers like Flamingo started covering them. People just found the idea so captivating, these strange accounts riddled with cryptic messages in their games that tell an overarching story. They were a super interactive style of horror, even joining and chatting with people in-game.
I'm in love!
A lot of these myths weren't advertised, but instead naturally discovered by chance, which only added to their mystery as these seemingly random accounts. And as a kid, I always wanted to be that guy, the first person to stumble upon one of these strange profiles. That was... until it happened to me. Our story begins with blaring trumpets and a blinding light coming from the sky. I know what you're thinking, and whatever it is, yes, it is that. Now, where we actually start the story is through a game called The Messenger's Hideaway. The game contains an old house in a field, with a strange man constantly patrolling the house with a shotgun. We can also see that this is actually the creator of the game, Remorseless Morse. On his profile, we can see that his bio reads,
"A messenger, searching, ever searching, at the end of the world."
His profile has two games. One is in Morse code and the other is called Messenger's Hideaway, which is what we're looking at right now. You see, I found one of these games in beta discovery because of a single review, discovering that these games were completely untouched. At the time, they only had 40 visits, and I never could have predicted the rabbit hole that I discovered. He has 0 friends, however, is following 3 people: the signal carrier, the timekeeper, and the lightbringer. I only added that so there's a mystery and the audience wants payoff. Do you guys feel engaged? Anyways, back to the house. To the left, we can find a shovel with a note posted to it, reading,
"They just keep coming."
Outside of the house, we can find 3 bodies. If you're wondering why they're cyclopses, to be honest, I don't even know either. But at least the species in this planet look like that. I won't give too much away yet. At the front, there's a body of a guy holding an axe, and another one eerily hung up like a scarecrow. The last one can be found behind this shed here, covered in vines. Inside the shed, we can find another note, presumably written by Morse.
"I think I just shot a person. Not one of those things, but another survivor."
You see, occasionally these zombie-like people will appear and attack you, identified by their bloodshot eyes. Luckily, outside there's a few bear traps around, as well as Morse's 12 gauge. Okay, later we learn that they're infected by something called the Affliction, but we'll learn more about it later on.
It was only after I pulled the trigger that something didn't sit right with me. I could check the body, but a part of me wants to just leave them to rest if I'm wrong. Maybe it's better this way.
I'm going to slow down this video a little bit, so please don't click off just yet so YouTube can promote my video more. As you walk in, there's a mechanical turret aimed at the doorway. Not for you though, don't worry, but for the zombies. And just quickly, I need to shout out how well the ambient design is of this game. I was getting a little bit jumpy just filming these background clips. Anyways, let's not get sidetracked. The house is decorated with a lot of pictures of Morse and who can be assumed to be his wife. To the right, we step into the kitchen with a note laid on the island countertop, one of 6 entries we can find written about Morse. The first is called The Beast Above, where he recounts some sort of tremendous event. He begins it with stating it was on the most uneventful of days, and his wife called him outside, urging him to look up at the sky.
It was as though a massive wall of steel was descending towards us. Like an eclipse, it covered our sun, plunging the world into an early night.
He describes these earthquakes and this wall of steel unfolding a large talon-like appendage which crashed and dug into the ground. He and his wife hid in the cellar, blocking the exit.
I turned on the radio, trying to listen for any news or updates. What I was met with, I could only describe as absolute, utter chaos. Every station dropped like flies. Oh, how they screamed and screamed. Then there was nothing. Silence.
Going up the stairs, you'll find a bathroom and a locked bedroom door. But if you go instead to the left, you can find the living room with a broken mirror on the ground. And atop the fireplace there is written, "My life will forever be autumn." This is also where the second entry is found, recounting that after a few days of hiding in his cellar, all the radio stations would go silent.
A horrible sound, which I could only describe as a roaring, almighty trumpet horn, began blaring off outside. I briefly unlatched the cellar and peered outside. The sky was filled with dotted lights, organized into odd geometric patterns, like beams from a warship. In the beams, I could see people, thousands and thousands of people being carried away.
Remember this whole description, as it'll be very important later on. If you hadn't noticed yet, this eerily follows an event in Christian theology, often called the Rapture, the end times event described in the apocalyptic text of Revelations.
This is argued about a lot, but the mostly agreed upon stuff is that at some point Jesus will come back to earth for a second time, announced by great trumpets, and all those who believe will be taken up to heaven. The specifics are still disputed by some, but the most common belief is that following this there will be a 7-year period of destruction known as the Great Tribulation, where the Antichrist will rule the earth.
We saw that the first entry was called The Beast Above, as well as the note in the shed referring to this after period as a painful exodus, which shows that this text at minimum takes inspiration from this theology. The blaring trumpets and the thousands getting taken up, though, are a very obvious reference to it. However, it's been twisted into this horrific what-if situation that's replaced these supernatural elements with mechanical. Another little piece of important information is also found in this entry, in a remark Morse makes about his predicament.
Only from my days sat in a trench have I ever heard such an awful sound.
This, combined with the observable technology like radios, suggests that this world's timeline has followed very closely with our real worlds, indicating that this is taking place in a time adjacent to the 1920s or 30s. This isn't huge, but it's interesting to note for later on. To find the third entry, we must go down into the cellar, which can be found around the back of the house. This place has a lot, so buckle up. One wall has a door with a flickering light illuminating it, the word "Speak" written above it, and an array of cogs and flywheels surrounding it. There is also a buttoned device next to it with a note saying, "Speak the word you should never forget." On the other side is a chalkboard with an illustration of these aforementioned lights. There's a workbench where we can find the key to the bedroom, but we won't use that just yet, as there's another note for us to read. This time we're further into the future, deep into discovering what the affliction was.
It had been nearly a week since that beast vanished, and with it all observable life as well. Towns and cities were empty as far as you could see.
We're told of his first encounter of a man approaching his house, but something is terribly wrong with them.
They convulsed and shouted incomprehensible gibberish. Their skin had gone a bright fiery red, and their eye had become irritated by some foreign bacteria.
The man would try to break the door down, but Morse would shoot him with his rifle. They would bury this one in a shallow grave, but as more and more came, there wouldn't be much point.
Some of these were people I recognized. They stumbled. Some carried knives or hammers. One even crawled his way to us. I can't possibly count anymore.
But this would be the least of his worries, as on the desk we could read an entry for that his wife would soon become sick with something. We also learned that her name is Iris. He would continue to assure her that she would be fine and that it was just a fever, but...
From the light appeared a figure. They stood at the top wielding a large kitchen knife. They descended, slammed the door, and began to charge me. I was barely able to see them in the darkness of the cellar, but I ultimately managed to cut them down with one of my shotguns.
This, of course, would turn out to be Iris.
The love of my life. I could not bring myself to fully bury.
Behind some crates in the corner of the cellar, through a small crack you can find her body, where you can get the Forever Autumn badge. It's pretty sad. There's a mural of her on the wall, as well as her violin and a photo of the two. But I'm eyeing off that key. The bedroom is an interesting area of the house. It's got a large chest and a few broken mirrors. I'm still not quite sure why all the mirrors in the house are broken though. On his desk is a piece of paper ripped from a notebook with a pencil sketch on it portraying a radio tower, a lighthouse, and a church tower. The only other thing of interest are the two notes laid on the bed, being parts 1 and 2 of entry 5.
I still find myself locking the doors every now and then, still in denial of what I did. A few months ago, back before I lost her, another afflicted figure appeared by the porch. Damn thing had an axe. Took the handle clean off the front door. Started losing faith in any real reasoning I had before to stay here, before the beast arrived. My only worries were whether what I was doing was worthwhile. I felt flawed in purpose. I tried everything I could to feel some sort of accomplishment.
In the second part, we learn about Morse's attempts to return to normal life, taking up new hobbies, even managing his own radio station that a few people would tune into.
Now my only worries are whether I'll have enough food or water for another month, week, or even a day. Funny that, how little it all mattered. I've got one last idea. Maybe I'm not as alone as I think. The towns must be plentiful with parts.
Next to the bed is a ladder leading to the attic. In the attic, there is his radio hosting setup, a gramophone, and a chalkboard with some interesting writing on it. It's more of a collection of Morse's thoughts. He's wondering about the affliction. He's got a drawing of an eye looking onto some worried looking people. How does it spread and why do they become so aggressive? And the people who caused this, who are they and why did they choose his planet? With another illustration of the lighthouse and the other two towers. It's not really clear what he's talking about with this word promise though. Just kidding, I made the video, I know what he's talking about. On the wall are posted 2 more notes, parts 1 and 2 to entry 6. The most important and last notes we'll find in this game.
For 2 months I spent constructing a massive satellite atop the roof, in hopes that I may reach another person. My next course of action was to attempt contact with a neighbouring planet, Nonary.
What?
No, you did not mishear that. Apparently, there's a whole nother planet that we have contact with called Nonary. This is getting too crazy. I need to look the part. Okay, so apparently according to part 1 of entry 6, we know of 3 towns nearby to Morse's house: Lear, Sclera, and Cornea. Past that, we also know that there is another planet called Nonary, which we didn't colonize, as we'll learn later on that they are not the same species as us. But somehow, despite the era of technology we have, we've already made contact with them. There is also some giant thing that just stole everyone from our planet. Are you following?
It took maybe a week, but I was finally successful. Somewhat. As it turned out, whatever got to us, got to them too. What am I to do now?
Okay, so apparently just everyone is getting raptured around here. And I wish I could say something, but it just goes downhill from here. But not yet, because we've got something very weird and mysterious that we're about to look at. Remember that basement door?
Nobody saw this beast coming, and so it was able to take us all without another thought. And yet, I'm still here. So, with no end in sight, I believe the only other course of action would be to alert the vast and knowing worlds outside of mine. If I could save even one world the pain I've had to endure, I promise I'd do it. Never forget that. I've finally found my purpose in life. My heart knows that I can hold out a little longer for those who deserve to live. And I know she would want me to do the same.
Was that subtle enough? I just can't place my finger on what the word could be. So I just press this button, type in this little code, and whey! So what do we got in here? On the walls we have the same 3 drawings of the 3 towers. 2 of the drawings have paintings in front of them of people, while the middle radio tower has a radio. We're getting really deep with the imagery here. Anyways, here's the actually important part. The journal, which says remember the dream. I mean, it can't be that bad. Guys? Hold on, let's go back. The lone caretaker will live forever. Play their part. This is definitely alluding to Morse as he is the caretaker, but I'm not really sure what it means yet. Following down the hall is a locked door and 2 hallways. The left was a portrait of a sailor-looking guy with some interesting-looking teeth. Down this hall is an empty room, however you can hear the ocean in here, and there's a drawing of a lighthouse on the wall. If you go down the right hallway, there's a portrait of a woman with some steampunky-looking goggles. There's another empty room with a clock tower drawn on the walls, and following suit you can hear a clock ticking in this room. When you return, you find the door has now opened, revealing a bright sky covered by a tall radio tower, and a man hung up on a cross like a scarecrow, with wires from the radio tower going into him.
Though I might be blind, my eyes are many through the vast frequencies I search through. And in my despair, I've caught something real interesting. A lone widower, surfing through the dead air of his planet and beyond.
Who are you? And what is this place?
The scarecrow tells Morse that he's in a dream.
Though I am nameless, you can call me the signal carrier.
He says that they're in a fracture of several places, and just a projection of myself. Oh, and by the way, he has lived for thousands of years and has seen more of the universe than any other living being. That'd be a crazy Tinder profile.
But I'm definitely not God. In fact, I'm only a third of a much bigger mechanism, a cog in a greater machine.
Instead, he calls himself a caretaker, tasked with others to track, spot, and warn of quote-unquote angels.
Angels?
They come from somewhere else. Somewhere ancient, more ancient than us. Some say they spawned with time itself.
Apparently these angels are stupidly intelligent and unable to feel empathy or remorse, as they don't even know what wrong is. The signal carrier also gives us some very useful information about their machine.
Using a vast amount of hooks and talents to anchor their almighty vessel. They take all and leave few to tell the tale. Once inside the vessel, the unfortunate majority taken become guinea pigs.
The conversation goes on for a little bit about these angels. Oh my gosh, he said the thing! Also, the name Morse I've given him, he actually isn't called Morse, he's called the Messenger. But it's just way too confusing to call him something else, so I'm just gonna keep calling him Morse.
You mean all those lights? All those beams and patterns, and that horrible sound. That was a machine?
Oh yes, it's unfathomable in scale. An unending labyrinth of pain and misery. It holds the souls of 1,000 worlds.
It's been the duty of the signal carrier and his colleagues for 1,000 years to delay them. But his colleagues have abandoned their duties, and he hasn't been able to continue delaying the angels.
I'm going to be completely honest. I need your help to get them back.
He's been unable to visit them himself because he's bound to his tower. He tells Morse that he can project him through the radio waves to visit him, whatever that means. They yap for a little longer, and then the signal carrier keeps trying to convince Morse to help him. Their whole plan is Morse needs to set up a large connection or radio or something, so we can get radio beamed or something to the signal carrier's colleagues.
Then I accept, though I'm not sure if I can part ways yet. Leave me some time to myself. I will only need a day.
Take your time, but be mindful of it as well. I'll find you again soon, so keep an eye and an ear out. Farewell, messenger.
Back in the main game, if you return to that room with the journal, you get some brief dialogue with either the timekeeper or the lightbringer.
I can smell you through the frequencies.
Reveal yourself. Who is this?
What? I'm only trying to socialize with you. Isn't that what living things are meant to do? I kinda forgot. It's been so long.
More yapping.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting to the good part. Okay, I'm a caretaker. You've probably heard of me from a certain somebody with a feathery hat. A certain somebody who also happens to look like an old scarecrow. He's been telling you all these lies about us.
The dialogue goes on for a bit, but the gist of it is that she's saying that the timekeeper is lying. I'm not sure how much I believe her though.
He found you, now he'll want you to find us.
She also mentions that she is trying to keep the signal away from the intruders, pointing towards the fact that the angels might be able to track planets or discover them via monitoring radio frequencies. If my time estimations from earlier are correct, then this planet only discovered radios in the past 30 years, which could explain why they only attack now. The other voice you have a chance of talking to is the Lightbringer, but for sake of time, I just won't cover that. He essentially just says the same stuff as the Timekeeper, saying that the signal carrier is lying, but also not really. And that's the point in time that this game is stuck in, Morse's final day to think about the deal. Overall, I think it's a really cool game, and the story would be very fun if it had some expanding. But, as you can see, this video isn't even nearly finished yet. Somehow, this goes even deeper. At the start of the video, I mentioned he had a second game, which is all in Morse code. Get it, Morse? This is where the whole Morse name comes from. If you thought what we just saw was bleak, oh boy, you have not seen anything yet. In Morse code, the title says S.O.S, and the description reads, Know all, see all. Loading into the game, we're greeted with an ad segment. Please don't skip, I'm super tiny and this isn't a sponsorship. These videos take super long to make with just me editing them, so I've got something to announce. Hey, do you want to see videos early and support the channel? Because you finally can with Patreon! Want to see progress from behind the scenes? That's too bad. Unless you buy the Patreon! Oh, let's calm down, because for only $5 you can vote on thumbnails in the guest tier of the Patreon. For $9.50 you can get behind the scenes on the noob tier of the, wait, what's it called? Patreon. Patreon pays for video editing and gives access to additional random videos, voting on the next video, Discord roles, your name read out, and some other things you can find on the Patreon. Find it at patreon.com/D0KY, that's D0KY.
The Patreon's purpose is only to pay for another editor in the future. Buying it directly helps me ensure these videos are still good.
Also, very quick shout out to Banana Peppers, very underrated myth YouTuber who helped me out a little in this investigation. Highly recommend checking his channel out, as well as the CARDBLOX show, a super cool podcast interviewing some of the very cool myths on Roblox, hosted by Quid. If you're interested at all, I highly recommend checking both of them out, links in the description. They were also both the voice actors in this video. Back to whatever this is. The first level of S.O.S is I think a 5x5 or 6x6 array of cells, with the doors being these weird folding out things that you have to climb a ladder to get through. What you notice immediately is the sci-fi-esque feel that this environment is. We're a long way away from Morse's cabin. In this game you don't play as your avatar, you're a bald person with 2 eyes, just thought I'd highlight that, and a uniform with Morse code on it. Just for context quickly, this game is actually the first one that me and some friends found of Remorseless Morse, not Messages Hideaway. So this game is the first impression I got. And immediately after we loaded in, we translated the Morse code on the uniforms. Non-Aryan? Oh hell! We were initially worried that this is referring to a different kind of ethnicity. Listen, okay, the context and everything, it looked really bad. Okay, look, don't worry. It doesn't mean non-Aryan, it means non-Aryan. Wow, visualizing it looks even worse. Let's just forget all about that, okay? I'm sure this was just an oversight by the creator. Anyways, so we're playing as people from Non-Ari. Now, I don't know much about Non-Ari, but I don't think it looks like this. Our first run playing this, we didn't really know how to get further than this weird cell area, only finding a dead body in a corner until our second time, where we found a faulty door that could be opened, leading to the second area, and this is where we realized that this goes a lot deeper. Ooh, turn back.
Oh, I didn't actually read that.
Turn back all who are of sane and just mind. Oh wow. Wee. Ow.
Yeah.
After going over the bridge and through the hall, we find a head-looking object with the light bulb on it. This other person you will see a lot is my friend Logan, by the way. Going through the large door, there's an illustration of an eye saying hide. Behind the wall is what is described, turning from left to right. If it catches you in its light, I think it plays a loud noise or something, which makes your head pop like a balloon. But you also get the Silence by Warden badge. In this section you can either go left or right. Going left takes you to a fairly open area with some pretty random moving parts, wires and lights around. There's also a metallic tree which I still have not figured out what it means. To continue through you must walk past this weird industrial cleaner looking dude, and you can only really get eaten by him if you intentionally run into him. Getting killed by him gives you the cleaned badge, and the description says cleaned by janitor. Of course, in Morse code. Going past him, there's another spawn point next to some moving pistons. If you stand on top of the pistons as they go up, you are taken to an upper level with 2 doorways. The right door is pretty uneventful. It's simply these factory-style large windows that lets you look out what appears to be into a large cityscape. The left door has a checkpoint next to it, leading to a strange hallway of moving squares. It then leads to this obby-style area with vines growing out of the wall, as well as a dead body that presumably fell from above. The obby is fairly easy, leading to a hole in the wall with even more vines coming out of it.
And then you go down, using this ladder.
This room is filled with the red vines. Going down the ladder there is a dead body in the center of the room, with large vines coming out from his open chest. On the wall is a large string of Morse code, reading, "Study confirms non-Aryan subjects susceptible to Crimson Colony flower. I know I did a British accent. Now, it's safe to say that the non-Aryans we play as are at minimum some sort of prisoners in a large facility. That's pretty obvious. The term subjects in reference to the non-Aryans confirms that the purpose of the facility at minimum is to do some testing on these people, as well as generally just to hold them prisoner. What I'm unsure of is if this area of the facility outside of the original grid of holding cells in it is intended for us to be in or not. The areas past it seem designed to show specific pathways, and yes, obviously it's meant to do that because it's a game, but we don't utilize any broken vents or anything that seems not intended for use. Everything is fairly open and easy to access, but I'll put my faith in the game design though, and therefore assume that this whole area is actually designed for us to explore and for whoever is holding us to test on us. The vine model and color is something used in Messenger's Hideaway too, and perhaps has a link to the affliction, however there is little actual evidence to support that. Let's go back to the big open area, and instead take the lower route, the Dead Man's Tunnel. In here are three things. I don't know if I'd call them people anymore. They're unreactive to the player, the first one being a man with no arms, with a sparking metal device around his head, almost like a saw trap. The next one is covered in barbed wires. The third wears a crow mask on his face, and hobbles around with wings for arms. After the tunnel, you walk along large platforms across the cityscape. At the end is another obby-style section with a dead body near the end. This is the only section of the game that we haven't been able to find a clear end or point of interest for. There's a bunch of random sections that just don't lead in anywhere in this room, so for now, this specific room is unsolved. The wall that the body rests on looks like a door. Using shift lock, we were able to see a spawn point behind it, so this could be a partially unfinished area, and there are no badges suggesting that this door can be opened currently. Alright, back to the first section with the eye. Instead, we turn right, opening into the largest accessible area, with an easy parkour route which we can take on both left and right. Taking the right route, there's a secret area you can find with a dead body laying on the ground, with chalk next to him. And on the wall it reads, "Something looks through my eyes. Something that isn't me." Following the right side, we are led into this central area. It doesn't really matter which side you go on, as they both lead here. There's a body on the ground holding a metal pipe, as well as a fallen over spawn point head that does not function, and a large metal body next to it, showing that these spawn points are most likely from some sort of humanoid designed robots that have been destroyed by this facility's subjects. In this area, there is a short hallway with a large door, which has nothing behind it, using shift lock and stretching my camera to look through. There is a trace of blood leading to the wall, written, "The trophies will light your way." The most likely conclusion is that this is referring to the spawn points. However, this still leaves a lot of speculation. Why would this be placed here instead of the start of the game? Why are they called trophies? Hidden behind a pipe, we can also find an air vent which you can open.
Logan,
What?
I found it.
What?
Come to the pistons. Look.
Oh! Yes, 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 yes.
What is this? This
might be a
is
jump
new.
Following it, you can see someone suspended in the air inside of a large room, grabbed by an array of claws. It's unclear if they're moving him or if he is trying to move, or even if he's alive, as there is a larger claw clearly being inserted into the back of his head. This is where you get the final badge, Interlope, reading, "See something you shouldn't have." Though the games have roughly 150 visits at the time of recording this, the badges on S.O.S only have around 8 people who have earned them, and Messenger's Hideaway has around 13 people who earn them. Meaning that the amount of people who have actually found this account and played these games is very likely under 20. That means we're going to be the first people to try and interpret this. Firstly, S.O.S and its setting. I am very, very confident that this is the vessel, the one mentioned in Mort's stream, and the one that is controlled by the angels, the one that caused the affliction. I believe that we play as the people of Non-Airy, who were taken up from their planet. It's unexplained why we haven't seen anybody with other uniforms, or specifically from Morse's planet. However, there is no time indicators here, so it simply could be before it all happened. We know that Non-Airy was also hit by the vessel through the notes where Morse managed to contact the planet, and find out that the vessel also visited the planet.
My next course of action was to attempt contact with our neighboring planet, Nonary.
This is also supported by how occasionally everything shakes and the whole area starts to creak, indicating that this is somehow moving. though it looks massive and looks like a city almost. It correlates with the description of it being of unfathomable scale, holding the souls of 1,000 worlds, as well as the treatment of those inside as guinea pigs. This, however, still doesn't explain what the angels are doing with the people inside. My best idea is that we are being tested and experimented on by the angels so they can physically change themselves, or reach some sort of enlightenment, or something supernatural. The angels are described of being ancient, before time, incredibly intelligent, and completely unaware or incapable of morality. Their technology and wealth seems to be incredibly advanced, pointing more towards something supernatural. All of the experiments that we can find, such as the Crimson Flower, the 3 people in the Dead Man's Tunnel, the Man in the Claws, as well as the Affliction, they all seem to have the goal of changing someone in extreme ways, not just physiologically, but psychologically. Though they do look painful, their intention does not seem to be simply cause pain. Firstly, there is no benefit to doing that, and secondly, I'm very sure that there'll be much easier ways for these angels to do that. But please, let me know in the comments your thoughts on what is occurring in the story, especially S.O.S. In terms of the signal carrier and Morse and that whole other world, I can't really make many assumptions whether the signal carrier or the 2 associates are lying. I think it's more likely that the associates are just lying and being lazy, but there'll be no real way to know. But why is that? What do I mean, no real way? Isn't this game going to be updated? I'm sorry, dear viewer, but this entire video was actually a giant bait and switch. You see, in the middle of making this video, Remorseless Morse updated his profile.
Unfortunately, due to recent publishing updates and a general decline in reliability from the platform, this project has been cancelled. This decision is final, as it has been made clear that things will not get any better. I will not be giving up my face just for what was essentially a throwaway project made for fun. Much love to anyone who took an interest in exploring this project in any capacity. You will have my eternal gratitude. The games will receive updates no further, and no other games will be made.
Now, how did this happen?
How's it going, Slugger? My name is Banana Peppers and this is not my channel. But I am here to talk about what Morse meant in his description about quitting this myth. To catch you up to speed, back in January, Roblox released a post about which is a fancy way of saying that they were going to take your personal info in exchange for an inaccurate age calculation. This could be done in 2 ways. Way 1 is by Face ID. Roblox scans your face and assumes, yeah, you're about this age, probably. Or way 2, you give Roblox your real ID, which, if you weren't aware, is a massive breach of privacy. This sucked, but you kinda just had to get over it. After all, it only affected the communication aspect of this social platform, which was, most of the platform. But still, that was sort of okay, at least when it came to Roblox myths and developers, which our friend Morse is. For your average Roblox myth, though communication could be an option, sometimes it's just unnecessary. And let's say you wanted to not hand over your personal identifiable information to Roblox. Sure, you couldn't speak to your player base, but you could still publish games and continue your compelling storyline. Except whoops, in May of this year, development also gets hit with a new wave of give the billion-dollar corporation your identity. Through the post, in essence, if you wanted to publish a game for the masses, you could do 2 things. Thing the first, give up your face or ID to complete the age check so you could publish it to only accounts age 16 and up to play. Or, thing the second, give up your real ID to complete the age check, complete 2FA, and also give Roblox your sweet money through so that you can publish games to all ages. These options, for obvious reasons, suck. Let me demonstrate this in another way. Cool. Let's say you're some Randy Randerson named Morse, and you wanted to make a Roblox myth. Not just a family or spookiness, but something worthwhile. Something with real substance. Some time has passed, and you've been working on this project for about a year and some change now. And it's going good! Because of Roblox's new age enforcement, you can't really bring anybody to your myth because of communication restraints, but it's fine, probably. It's just the cause of not yielding to the billion-dollar corporation when asked for your info. But they're gonna get it one way or another. So now, unless you cough up your face, you're stuck. But there's always that secret third option just beyond natural view. To quit. To not give in and leave behind a story incomplete. even if that means you never got the player base you deserved. Of course, this isn't the sole reason Morse left. Roblox has shown themselves as a soulless husk of itself that remains unreliable and uncaring for its users and only really concerned about its own bottom line. It was gonna end one way or another, but this is undoubtedly just a bad situation to be caught in.
Again, check that guy's channel out in the description. This is probably one of the most fun myths that I've hunted. I'm not sure why. I think it's a combination of the setting, the story, and the general quality. I don't usually like stuff where you read notes, but he pulled it off. I don't know who made this myth, and yes, I really did try figuring it out. If the creator's watching this, hi. Sorry, just a quick shout out to TogXO who bought the Patreon literally 10 minutes after I announced it. If you're still watching, thank you so much. Please join my Discord server, linked in the description. Subscribe to my new Patreon if you want to directly support this channel's growth. This is definitely my longest video so far, and I hope it was worth the wait. God bless.